afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I would like today to convey a great story about the city of Brisbane in Australia. To reflect appropriately on where a city stands today, it is important to understand its history, as that is how we learn the lessons for our future. This is a journey which has eventuated over 20 years through the work of many. Brisbane of today is an urban success story, yet 20 years ago, Brisbane was still a big country town, a place where outdoor dining was a novelty, where our young people left to find jobs, and housing choice meant either a single or two-storey detached house in the suburbs. It was a relatively young city, having emerged from the region's bushland little more than 160 years earlier. And yet, like many other cities, we had already begun to struggle with urban decay. Today, Brisbane is Australia's new world city, an easy living city, proudly casual, yet with a growing sophistication, and as demonstrated following the major floods of early 2011, Brisbane is a city of people. People who care about their friends, their neighbourhood, and their community. With a population of over 2 million people, Brisbane is a subtropical metropolis located in the heart of the nation's fastest growing region. Australia consistently ranks among the world's top 10 countries for its quality of life, and Brisbane is considered Australia's lifestyle city. Brisbane is the economic engine room for the state of Queensland, with an economy valued at over $114 billion, almost half of Queensland's economy, and is the headquarters of the state's multi-billion-dollar resources industry. Brisbane is also forging a growing reputation as Australia's innovation leader through the talent, skills, intellect, creativity and immense drive of a multitude of smaller niche businesses and young entrepreneurs. Our city is an emerging leader in innovative industries, including biotechnology, aviation, aerospace, ICT, clean technologies and mining services. We are Australia's gateway to the Asia-Pacific markets, and knowledge now accounts for much of our city's exports. Brisbane is the Gen Y of international cities, youthful, progressive, confident, home to Australia's premier live music scene, the nation's largest gallery of modern art, and a centre for digital games design. Established in 1991, by Australia's largest local government authority, Brisbane City Council, Urban Renewal Brisbane has been guiding sustainable growth of our city for over 20 years. We have been focused on introducing new ways of thinking about the city and facilitating the creation of a strong city identity, reflecting our subtropical climate and relaxed outdoor lifestyle. We have focused on uniting stakeholders to a common vision, harnessing specialist skills of each to achieve unparalleled innovation. There have been three major phases of the evolution of Brisbane over the past 20 years, which are very much interconnected. Phase 1, the post-industrial city, transforming obsolescence into opportunity. The initial task was to regenerate former industrial suburbs that were in the process of decline. In the inner northern suburbs, advances in the shipping industry had left wharves abandoned and empty warehouses as manufacturers moved into purpose-built suburban premises. Local employment was significantly low, and the area known as Fortitude Valley, once the retail nucleus of the city, had deteriorated into a rundown business district with chaotic traffic, crime and visual pollution. Its nighttime economy remained, but its appeal was limited. Initially, the scope for urban renewal included 730 hectares of riverside land immediately adjacent to the city centre. It was Australia's largest urban renewal project. The challenge was immense, the existing problems extensive. Aspirations to create a new urban community faced an immediate hurdle, the inadequacy of infrastructure funding. From 1991 to 1996, Urban Renewal Brisbane achieved unprecedented levels of cross-government integration and support. Funding removed the barriers to redevelopment as it allowed for large infrastructure and environmental rehabilitation initiatives. Establishing infrastructure investment was critical and underway. Another key principle was improving the use of public spaces, and this was elevated to a position of utmost importance. Poor quality spaces deterred potential new residents and businesses, and work commenced to address this. Urban Renewal Brisbane identified sites suitable for the development of new affordable housing, and using an $8 million Australian Government grant, delivered demonstration projects. In more recent times, government land holdings have been targeted, and through working with developers, both private and not-for-profit, the delivery of additional affordable housing has been facilitated, which is crucial to Brisbane's ongoing diversity and sustainability. A focus on the stimulation of local employment hubs encouraged businesses to relocate where appropriate. The redevelopment of key council landholding delivered projects which acted as catalysts. The inner northern suburbs today are Brisbane's premier cosmopolitan commercial and entertainment precincts. They are highly sought after urban communities, and economic activity in the targeted urban renewal areas is thriving. And in the suburb of Fortitude Valley alone, the workforce for the precinct has increased by 70% since 1991. Another key principle was cultural revival, recognising that a depth of the city is signified by the depth of its culture. Fortitude Valley became the nation's first dedicated entertainment precinct, and its status as one of the most important breeding grounds for original music was cemented in 2007, when the US Billboard magazine named Brisbane as one of 5 international music hotspots. Council undertook a $17 million refurbishment of the new municipal power station into a live arts precinct. The Brisbane Powerhouse is today one of the nation's most recognised venues for live arts, an icon for the community. The cultural revival went further and continues today with an ongoing program to improve safety through crime-sensitive urban design, greater outdoor dining, markets, live music and mixed-use development. All new major developments now include their project delivery of community benefits such as public art, public spaces or dedicated floor space for use by community organisations. The Inner North was also home to some of our oldest and most impressive heritage building. These grand and robust buildings were viewed by Urban Renewal Brisbane as major assets for the future community, and their adaptive reuse an essential component of the sustainability of this project and a key building block. Community engagement and consultation protocols for Urban Renewal Brisbane far exceed legislative requirements and today lead as industry's best practice. Planning is developed jointly with the community and other stakeholders, and this has resulted in unprecedented public support. It has also stimulated developer interest and supplied catalyst project. Phase 2, Brisbane the River City, reconnecting Brisbane with its river. The second phase of this journey was to establish strategies to reconnect Brisbane with the river and focused on the riverside suburbs within 5 kilometres of the city centre. Movement alongside and across the river has been difficult, with few bridges in the past and limited riverfront access. In the late 1990s, redevelopment in the CBD began to open up sections of the river which had previously been hidden behind buildings, car parks and wooden wharves. Brisbane's World Expo 88 was a major catalyst in inspiring major riverside development. Brisbane's initial focus was on the community benefits of the river, driving changes along the inner reaches through a series of plans and strategies that embedded river-focused strategies into locally specific outcomes. Heavy industrial businesses were encouraged to move out of the Brisbane CBD, and new local plans set height limits on riverside developments and designated public access to the waterfront tailored to each riverside locality. As each new development was planned, public access to the waterfront was reclaimed. 14 kilometres of Riverwalk have been constructed, linking the northern suburbs of Brisbane through to the city centre and to the southern suburbs. This is Kurilpa Bridge. It's also a new river crossing, which is a key green crossing which accompanies the Goodwill Bridge. The river is the connecting spine for the large public area, and also every new development that we have is required to be landscaped and, where possible, feature green spaces. We've also recognised that breaking public apathy towards the river is important as generating developer interest. In 1996, we had the first river-based festival, and now Riverfire is a week-long promotion for our city, and the largest fireworks display attracts 600,000 people along the edges of the river. Another key strategy related to the use of the river as a mode of transport. In 1996, Brisbane City Council introduced the superfast CityCat ferry services, which made it possible to travel the length of the river, allowing for a river connection between urban renewal areas of the CBD, inner city parklands and 2 universities, with 5.2 million trips made last year on the fleet of 19 CityCats. Brisbane's newfound love of our river was tested last year with the devastating floods that hit southeast Queensland. 12,000 homes and 2,500 businesses were damaged or destroyed, and the CBD was shut down for a week. In a tribute to the resilience and spirit of Brisbane's community, over 60,000 volunteers hit the streets to clean up private residences, community facilities and riverside spaces. This shot actually shows you the entire fleet of CityCats cruising down the still flood-affected and muddy Brisbane River on the day prior to the recommencement of the services in April 2011. It's very symbolic and moving for residents as it signifies fresh beginnings and the city's rebuilding process as well underway. Phase 3, the New World City, planning for sustainable growth. By 2004, South East Queensland had become Australia's fastest growing region, and the inner city held the key to Brisbane's sustainable growth as new development would need to be concentrated in the CBD. Visionary long-term renewal strategies have been developed for 12 inner city growth precincts and a master plan for the CBD, covering more than 1,000 hectares and already accommodating 40% of the infill target set for Brisbane. The city centre master plan required spaces and facilities to address the needs of residents, workers and visitors alike. It promotes social inclusion, safety and ease of mobility around the city. The CBD is being transformed into a place for living, learning and playing, as well as a place for work and business. When we look at the existing squares and malls within our city, many of these had actually been forgotten. In 2005, Brisbane was predicted to become Australia's most connected city within a decade, with traffic volumes multiplying faster than population growth. By 2026, an extra 250,000 two-way passenger trips were expected daily into the CBD. The forgotten spaces have been unlocked and certainly provide great pedestrian connections. A bold vision was presented to transform the city into a walkable, pedestrian-friendly core, shifting reliance from road-based transport to environmentally friendly alternatives. Planning for the city advocated buildings to create a tall dynamic skyline and generate the intensity needed to transition the CBD into a 24/7 destination, introducing greater economic diversity into the city centre and stimulating a vibrant social environment. The learnings from this story are varied, including the use of a flexible multidisciplinary model, which is focused on outcomes rather than regulation. Through creative partnering with the private sector, lasting microeconomic reform can be achieved. Sustainable renewal projects ensure Brisbane's continued livability, quality of life and prosperity into the future and serve as an inspiration for cities across the globe. Finally, I would like to acknowledge the many people who have contributed and continue to contribute to Brisbane's ongoing story, and I invite you all to experience it for yourself, particularly the enduring characteristics of the cities which have not changed, the warmth, friendliness and openness of our people. For this and many other reasons, Brisbane is a beautiful city in which to live, work, study, play and visit all year round. In closing, on behalf of the Lord Mayor of Brisbane, I would like to thank the World City Summit, the organisers of the Prize Council, the organisers of the Lee Kuan Yew World City Prize and members of the Prize Council and Nominating Committee for the opportunity to convey Brisbane's story and the international recognition of Brisbane as Australia's New World City in the company of other such great global cities. Thank you.